I need and I want and I desire to create community. I teach at Cap University and in the Indigenous Digital Film Program. And one of the things that I say is that, where are you in the center of your creativity? Are you physically energized? Are you emotionally attuned? Are you mentally focused? And are you spiritually aligned to the needs outside yourself? And in that way, what's the story that is percolating within you that needs to come out? And for me, that's community, is that you're not going to community to get something, but how can I serve my community? And music absolutely serves our community. I believe that when we support community, especially those closest to us, that the return is tenfold. And it's not something that you monitor, it's just something that in the giving is present. It's not something that is, the unit sold. But for whatever reason, we continually get supported by all the powers out there, whether it's in film and music and theater and the performances that we get to do, we get supported. And that to me is the music industry, Yes, networking, I'd rather call it relational accountability. And what do I mean by relational accountability? Is that if I am a singer, I am accountable for the messages, for my presence, for the way I see the world, because that comes in my music. And I'm accountable to the community that these songs represent, the people that have inspired me to write these songs. And my relationship to other people is based on that, and it's all about relationships, right? Like we all want to have beautiful relationships with whether it's our educational system or our parents, our children, and most especially to the audience, or what we like to say, our witnesses. That it's not so much an audience being me here and the audience is over there, but they're witnesses. And my take on that is that they're going to go away from here and they're going to talk about this music that they heard. And I really want them to have their heart message there. I mean, that's the bottom line, isn't it, in terms of our art that we want to create? We want to inspire people in their heart message as well.
So how do we teach to find ways of working collectively?
So deep listening is a really huge thing. What do we mean by deep listening? It's with our eyes, it's with our heart, it's with our physical body. Again, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. If you're in the center of your circle, you know that you can be physically energized by the creative vulnerability that's happening. To be mentally focused represents the articulating what that is. To be emotionally attuned is to understand what vulnerability actually does feel like, and stay there. Our society doesn't like to be vulnerable. How do you stay in a sense of vulnerability and speak from that place? Well, if you're spiritually aligned to the needs outside yourself, then that space is informed by the community that is around you, by the individuals that are in your space, right? And it's not coming in with a predetermined desire to get something out of it. And as Elaine, as a director yourself, we certainly have, when we're looking at stories and stuff, we know what we want, and then we have the actors and they make their offers and we're like, whoa, that makes me feel like this. And you have that conversation, right? And you don't stick to what you think is, because in collaboration, that's truly what it is. What are you collaborating with? All of the senses of us in our human condition, mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. And when you find yourself at the center of that, then that's just so beautiful. If you're wanting to be a piano player, and if you're wanting to be a guitar player, and getting training in those realms is awesome. But I think when it comes to wanting to make a career out of it, I always say that What do you love? What is the pulse of your creative vulnerability? How do you navigate those creative spaces that flourishes within you, this desire and need to create music? That's sort of the impetus of direction, you know, in terms of, you know, I have this desire to play the piano, and these are the people that inspire me in my work. And so I think that, you know, absolutely, if you need to go into, you know, learning on piano and reading music and all of that stuff is great. And at the same time, don't let it squash your own creative source of vulnerability. In a place of transitional and transformation, when people are learning things, vulnerability can be like this. When you stand in your vulnerability and the ground becomes shaky, stay there. Because you know that you're going to be supported. Because a lot of times when our moral code gets stretched, sometimes it's the greatest place to find the language to describe that transformation. And I think that for young people, they're better at it because they're not as attached to, in my age, attached to our ways of knowing and being. But I think that for young people, that is easier, you know, for them to stay in this vulnerability. The ground becomes shaky, the moral code gets stretched, and what's the language that comes out? Mm-hmm. You know, because it's a new ground. A new ground is being formed, right?
If there were any words of wisdom, if there was any advice you could give to a young musician starting out, what would you say to them?
Ooh, how would you define your hope? How do you define the actions you want to take and your hope? How do you define your actionable hope in the work that you want to create? The joy of being able to create your music is about creating the music and getting out of your way. Sometimes you have to get out of your way. I have my guitar in my kitchen, and I have a guitar in my living room too, but when I get stuck on something, if I'm writing, or mostly when I'm writing or having to read a whole bunch of stuff or prepare my classes for where I teach, and when I get stuck, I grab my guitar. I grab and play a song. And I think that how do you define the music that you create in your hope for the future? So this is a Soto song. I'm saying, stories and songs that map our lands and waters. Thank you long ago, elders, for your words of hope and love. So that's what I'm saying in the dialect of Soto, which is part of the Anishinaabe. May we je o getadis nanan kodam o getadis nu dang a kid a win, nu dang a kid a win. Way ana way way hey yo. Way ana way hey yo. Bagus and Amoin, Bagus and Amoin, Shigo Sagito win, Shigo Sagito win. Way ana hey way yo. Way ana hey yo. Bagus and Amoin, Bagus and Amoin, Shigo sagi to win. Shigo sagi to win. Shigo sagi to win. Shigo sagi to win. There you go.